right, ladies and gentlemen, so we are going to take a look now at lesson 6, styling text with CSS. So we know at this point, we should know a little bit of HTML, which is sort of like the structure stuff, how to structure your um, web pages, right? So at this point, we know headings, we know lists, and we know paragraphs. Now, there are plenty more HTML that we can do, but that is what we know at this time. But that is just the structure. That is sort of the skeleton. What if, I mean, think about your body though. Your body isn't just a skeleton, your body has muscles and all this other stuff as well. All right. So we are going to be taking a look at CSS. If HTML is the structure, then CSS is the styling. So at this point, you've probably noticed that your websites are kind of boring. And we're going to learn a little bit about how to make them a little more stylistically interesting. All right. So we're going to start on Bevel 1. That is where we always start. And we are just going to take a look at this sample web page. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on it. And again, this probably looks a little bit like your web page, but I want you to notice a couple differences. This heading right here, Andrew's reading list for great speeches, is now in purple. I have this I have a dream. It's red, it's underlined. I have these words here. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. That's in italics, right? So there are some different style things happening here. The content looks the same. Like we still have headings, we still have subheadings, we still have paragraphs, but I'm looking at some new style choices that are kind of interesting. And that is what we are going to be learning about in today's lesson. There we go. So once you take a look at that, as always, when you go to the next one, you're going to hit the orange button on the bottom. Sometimes it says finish, sometimes it says continue, sometimes it says next, whatever. But again, once you hit that, it sends it to my side where I can then grade things for you. Not that there was anything for you to do there. Okay, so this is WebLab, again, project using the new language to add style to your page. We are going to explore an index HTML and a style CSS file, and we are going to discuss the following questions. What changes is this new language making on the page? How is this language different from HTML? And how are the HTML and style CSS files connected? So those are the 3 questions we are going to focus on. So let's get a focus on the first question first. What changes is this new language making to the page? And again, I'm just going to kind of get rid of my instructions, and we're going to take a look real quick. So what are we noticing about this now that I have this new style CSS thing in here? What are we noticing about what's happening on my page? Anybody? We didn't see this before.
The color.
We see color. What about the fact that, like, if I make this, see how like that red is staying over there, but the blue and the blue stuff is moving so it stays centered? So yeah, we have color, we have centering. This is all brand new to us. Awesome. So the next question is, how is this language different from HTML? So I'm not seeing anything, but I'm going to go here to this other file. Remember, this first column in our web lab is the files. So if I open this up, so it doesn't have those greater than, less than, and the slashy things. It looks like I'm bringing up a selector like H1, right? That's my first heading. And then I have these curly brackets, right? And then it says I want to change the color, and then it selects a color, and then it says text align, and then there's this sort of dot, and then it says center. So the language looks different, much like English looks different from like Spanish, but it is creating something new here. And then I have H2, and then it says align right. So that's why it's all the way to the right. And then it says color red. So it looks like I can change different HTML style elements by using these curly brackets and putting something on the inside of them. So, all right, that's kind of cool. And then it says, finally, how are the index HTML and the style CSS files connected? For that, I'm going to go back to my HTML file to show you. So I want you to take a look right here. Between the head tags, it says link, rel, style sheet, hrefs, style.css. This literally is the link between these two files. I want to show you, I don't know if I can. Yes, it looks like I can. If I take out that link, notice what happens. Everything goes back to black. So these two pages, these two files need to talk to each other. And how they do that is with this line of code in the heading links, okay? And again, you'll be able to reference this using the video. You'll be able to reference this by going back. But again, it's link space rel equals style sheet with the quotes, hrefs equals style.css, and that is the link that you are going to be using between its pages. And again, just like I showed you, where you can kind of select it and delete or select and cut and paste. Oftentimes, once I know a link works, I'll just cut and paste it into my next pages. That's perfectly acceptable. All right, again, once you are done, as always, ladies and gentlemen, because we are done with our little discussion here, we are going to go ahead and hit finish and go to the next page.
So we don't have to do nothing to that slide?
Not really. I mean, it's just for discussion purposes. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be meeting Danny, and she is going to kind of talk us through some CSS stuff. 3-minute video.
I'm Danny, and I'm a curriculum writer at code.org. In college, I took my interest in sports and combined it with my interest in computer science. And I worked on a robotics team, and we actually competed internationally, so around the world. So I got to travel to Istanbul and Mexico, and I love how it connects to every field and any interest you have. As you've been building your websites, you've learned to use HTML to give it structure. We've learned to define headings, lists, paragraphs, and images to make your website start to look the way you want. But usually just giving a website structure.
I want to pause here. We have not done images yet. This video, they redid the curriculum order, and we have not done images yet, but we will be getting there. So at this point, the only thing that we know how to do in HTML is headings, paragraphs, and lists.
Isn't enough. You want to give it style to fully bring the content to life. The same website about fitness could have a sleek and simple style or a quirky and eclectic style, and each would feel different to your user. Web developers can control the style of a web page using a language called CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS allows a web developer to define a specific set of style rules to apply to HTML elements on the page. Let's take a look at how to use CSS to create style rules for a simple web page about fitness. First, we'll write the CSS to turn all the paragraph text purple, to indicate that we want to apply a set of rules to all the paragraph elements. We write the name of the tag P, followed by an open, and then a closed curly brace. We refer to the P here as the selector. The selector indicates the type of element the style rule will apply to. Next, we need to indicate what about the paragraphs we'd like to change. In this case, we want to change the color of the paragraph text. This part of the rule is called a property. And color is just one of the many properties we can change about a paragraph. A property is followed by a colon. Finally, we need to specify the value we want for that property. To make the paragraph purple, let's add the word purple after the property. And finally, add a semicolon to indicate the end of the style rule. The CSS that we just wrote is called a rule set because, like the name implies, it's a set of rules to specify a style for the selected element. We can add multiple property value pairs to the same selector to further control the style of our web page's paragraph elements. If we want these paragraphs to be purple and large, we can add the font size property to control the text size. Then specify a number value to set how large the font will be. CSS allows for all sorts of style rules: fonts, positioning, size, and colors. The more style rules you learn, the more you can make your web page tell the story you want.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, as always, when you're done, go ahead and make sure you hit that continue button, because that way it will show up on the teacher end of things that you have watched the video. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, as always, I'm going to walk you through some of the skill building, and then you will get the practice on your own. I don't know if we're going to have time to finish with everything that we need to do today, because, oh, I'm looking at the wrong schedule. There we go. Yeah, we might. And if not, that's okay. We'll just drag this out for 2 days because we did have a lot of questions at the beginning of class. All right, so first things first, it says do this. Again, we are looking at the HTML file, cascade, the style sheet CSS, to give page a particular style. The style sheet contains information about each of the HTML elements that what should look like. Now, again, as always, up here we have our frequently asked questions. So please, by all means, feel free to pop into any of these if you have these questions. Okay? So those are up there, and they are pretty complete. All right, so it says find the code in the style sheet, and it says click style CSS on the style sheet first, that's making the H1 heading red. Change the color of the H1 heading from red to a different color. All right, I can do that. So again, I'm going to make this slightly bigger so it's a little easier for y'all to see. And I'm going to click on my style CSS sheet. And now, again, I'm going to turn my inspector on because I want to be able to actually see it. And then I am going to hover over the red words. And it shows me right there, color red. Well, okay, if it wants me to change it to a different color, I can do that. I'm just going to delete out the red because, again, I see the selector, H1. I see the property, color, and then I'm going to do the value. I'm going to do it a different value from red. So what color should we make this? Anybody?
Blue.
Blue. Got it. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and type the word blue. And then you can see sometimes, like, just putting the B in, some of these will pop up. So I'm just going to go ahead and select blue. And there it is. It changed to blue. So again, I have H1 is my selector, and then I have my curly brackets, and then I have my what's it called? My value, followed by what I want it to be. Yes. Okay, not a problem. Whoever the teacher is, just have them email me, and whatever they want me to say, if they email me, I'll add it to the announcements. Yep, no problem. Sorry about that. I had a visitor. All right, so as you can see, we changed it to blue, but maybe we didn't want it to be blue. Maybe we want it to be pink. So again, I still have my H1, which is my selector. I have color, which is my property. I have my colon, and maybe I want to have a different value. Maybe I want this to be pink. I want it to be hot pink. And refresh. And bam! Hot pink. All right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Again, H1 is my selector, color is my property, and then I have my value, hot pink. And this is how I create a rule set for CSS. Once you've changed the color on your bubble 4, you are all set with that. Go ahead and hit finish. Taking a look at bubble number 5. As soon as my thing goes a little faster, but that's okay. All right, so it says the block of code that gives rules for a particular set is called a rule set. You can now make a rule set by copying the pattern you see for rule set H1 tag. Do this. Find the CSS rule set on the style sheet that determines the styles for the H1 tag. Using the same pattern, write a new CSS rule set that will determine the style for the H3 tag. Add code to set a different color for the H3 tags. Okay, I can do that. So I'm going to go to my styles. So there is no H3 tag rule set yet, but I can use the H1 rule set to sort of help me along. So I'm going to go ahead and looking at lines of code 1 through 4. I'm going to go ahead and say H3. That is my selector, right? And then I'm going to do my curly brackets. I'm going to kind of back it up. Give me a couple spaces to work with. So now I need to have a new property. So my property is going to be color, colon, and then what color do we want the subheadings to be? Anybody?
Purple.
I heard red, I heard purple. So let's go with red, just because it pops up really nicely. So now I have my selector, H3, curly brackets. I have my property, which I'm trying to change, color. And then I have my value, which is red. And then I'm going to end it with a semicolon. And now if I refresh and save, I now have all of my H3s coming in at red. Maybe I want to make them a little bit smaller. Cool. So I'm going to, again, using H1 as my, as my model, I'm going to go ahead and type in font size. You'll notice sometimes as you're typing, these selectors just kind of pop up. If you see the one you want, just click on it. And my main heading is at 24 pixel size. I want these to be smaller, so maybe I'm going to go with an 18 px or pixel size. And you can see now where they, again, refresh and save, they've gotten a little bit smaller. Maybe I don't like 24. Maybe I want to go bigger for my H1s. I really want them to pop. So maybe I'm going to go with 48. Oh, my goodness, look at that. All right. So again, my rule set consists of a selector, which is going to be like your HTML tag, curly brackets, a property. In this case, I have color and font size. And then I have a value. In this case, I have red and 18. So again, I have done what they asked. I used my H1 as a model to create a rule set for H3. So do we have an option to change the color or not? I don't understand your question. Yeah, I mean, you can change it to anything you want. I'm just modeling this at red. I mean, you can go purple. The idea is I don't care what colors you're using. What I want to know is, can you use the code correctly? So if you wanted to, as long as you're doing what they're asking you to do is in creating a rule set for your H3s, then that's what I'm looking for. As far as what color you choose, that's entirely up to you. The cool thing about CSS is that literally it is a form of expression. So like I'm guessing you would use totally different colors compared to somebody else based on what your favorite colors are. But again, I have created my H3 rule set. I have my selector, I have my values, and I have my properties. So those are all set. I can see that they're working in my preview screen. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit finish. So bubble 6. It says you can control other things besides colors using other properties. Do this. Find the CSS rule sheet in the style sheet that determines the style for the paragraph tag. Change the text size of the paragraphs and the headings. Okay. So I'm going to go here. So again, I can change the size of my paragraphs and my headings. So maybe I want to bring this down to 40. Maybe I want to bring these guys up to 20. Just making this up. Oops, that 120. Ooh, that's really big. And then maybe my font size in my paragraphs, I want to bring up to maybe, let's say 16. I'm not really happy with how my paragraphs look, so maybe I want to have a different thing happening here. So maybe you want to make it bold, or maybe you want to make it italics, or maybe you want to do like a center it or something. So I'm gonna do I think it's font align. There we go. Align content. My bad. Looking for my, there we go. And maybe I want my paragraphs to be centered. And once I do that, refresh and save. Well, they're pretty long paragraphs. Maybe that would have more impact up here. Why is that not working? Maybe it's not aligned content. There we go. Now, text align. There we go. Perfect. I was using the wrong code. I want to align my text in the center. So again, what you want to do is going to be entirely up to you. So again, I did what I asked. I changed the size of my font and I added something new to the paragraph. I aligned it to the center. Entirely up to you what you want to add. But again, I'm doing this as a model. If you want to follow what I'm doing, please feel free to do so. All right, so we are back to Danny, and then I think we have maybe one more. Yep, cool.
Now we know how to create rule sets in CSS. But where do we put them? And how will our web page know how to apply these rules? All of our CSS rules will live in a file separate from the HTML. We'll refer to this file as the style sheet for the web page. The file name usually ends in .css. Now our style sheet exists, but the web page doesn't know about it yet. We need to add a link element in the HTML file telling it about the style sheet. When the browser goes to load the contents of the web page, it will see that link element for the style sheet and use those style rules to figure out how the page should be displayed. To add a link to the style sheet, we add the link tag. Inside the tag, we specify that the link is to a style sheet and add the name of the CSS file.
All right, so that's what we are going to practice next, is linking sheets. Okay, so as you can see, I have my style sheet. I have the purple, the orange, the teal. I have all of this stuff happening, but none of it is being displayed on my none of it is being displayed in my preview. So I have to make my HTML sheet talk to my style sheet. Okay, so how do we do that? So it tells us how right here. Inside the HTML page, add the code that will link the style sheet to the web page. And that is going to be link rel style sheet reference style. Okay, where does this go? This goes up here in the heading space. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. So right here on line 4, I'm going to do a opening and closing tag. I am going to tell it to link and now I have to tell it what I'm calling it. So what am I relating it to? And what I am relating it to is going to be a style sheet. And then I am going to do a reference. And that is going to be the name of the file, which in this case is style CSS. And hopefully that'll do it. Refresh and save. Okay, what did I mess up? And I want to point something out, guys. Part of me doing this live is the fun part. It needs to be an equal sign. My bad. See. Everybody makes mistakes. There's my bug, and I should have known it was a bug because my stuff was pink. I know this. See, but we always make simple mistakes. All right, so link rel style sheet h reference name the file, and once I link them, you can see all of those style elements entering into my website. And if you don't see them immediately, just hit refresh and save. All right. So once that is done, we're going to go ahead and hit finish. All right. So now, ladies and gentlemen, you have the stuff that you need to start working on. All right. So I've walked you through bubbles 1 through 8. Giving you some clues, giving you some tips. You are going to work A through G. And again, you're not going to finish it today. We'll use tomorrow as well. So get as far as you can today. We are going to go A through G for bubble number 9. Bubble number 10, again, you'll be working on your own. This will be like your independent work. Bubble number 10 is, again, it's asking you to link the style sheet. And it asks you to do a couple of other things. And then bubble number 11, which are our challenges. This kind of is going to walk you through different style choices. So underlining, free play, don't worry about. Texting, shadowing, aligning the text, letter spacing, etc. So again, your job is going to, for today and tomorrow, is going to be going through bubbles 9, 10, and 11. All right, so you have the rest of the time to work. I am going to go ahead and stop my screen, my video and my screen share.